The third reactor in the UK this year has already been shut down. Meanwhile, the nuclear power country France is struggling with numerous problems of its expensive and vulnerable nuclear power plant fleet. And here in Germany, there is an increasingly heated debate about extending the operating times for the three nuclear power plants that are still connected to the grid. And meanwhile, in Great Britain, as I said, the third reactor this year was finally shut down this Monday. Even France, as a nuclear mecca, expects nuclear power production to be a quarter lower in 2022. Around half of the 56 nuclear reactors there were not connected to the grid. The energy supplier EDF Energy finally shut down the British nuclear reactor Hinkley Point B1 in the southwest of the country on Monday, after the first system of the double power plant B2 went offline at the beginning of July. And this continues the wave of shutdowns in the country. 3 reactors had been shut down on the island in the last year. 2 plants at Dungeness in the southeast and Hungerston B1 in Scotland, followed in January 2022 by Hunterston B2. EDF Energy is a subsidiary of the state-owned French electricity group EDF. The reason for the current shutdowns and those of the other reactors were the age of the nuclear power plants and safety problems caused by cracks in the graphite cores of the gas-cooled plants. The Hinkley Point reactors had been in operation since 1976, so they ran for 46 years. And in Great Britain, too, there was discussion as to whether the operating times of the 2 reactors could be extended in view of the gas crisis, which is also affecting the island. The government in London had this checked in the spring already. However, EDF Energy declined. It's not possible to keep the double nuclear plant in operation over the winter due to the detailed safety verifications required. According to media reports from the nuclear industry, the nuclear power plant had still had another winter in it, but now the power supply on the island will be additionally burdened in the coming months. Nuclear power has so far provided around 16% of Britain's electricity. This proportion is declining because of the new and further shutdowns planned for this decade in the aging nuclear fleet. A nuclear capacity of 15,700 megawatts had been built up in Great Britain since 1956, of which more than half, that's more than 9,000 megawatts, has now been shut down. Even the new nuclear power plant Hinkley Point C, that's 2 reactors with a total of 3,400 megawatts that EDF Energy plans to put into operation in 2027, cannot compensate for this decline. However, the London government is planning further new reactors. It is currently negotiating with the operator for a second new twin power station, Sizewell C in Suffolk. The decision to build the new reactors at the Hinkley Point site was only made after London had promised EDF Energy a very high feed-in tariff for the entire term. Opponents of nuclear power are convinced that Hinkley Point C is permanently uneconomic and is being built primarily for military reasons. In France, where around half of the European nuclear power plants are located with 56 reactors, up to 29 reactors were recently shut down. The reasons are normal maintenance and repair work, some of which has to be made up for, that's due to corona, as well as shutdowns because cracks are there due to corrosion in the pipes of the energy cooling system, and those were found in the newer reactor types. The corrosion problem affects the 4 newest 1400 megawatt reactors and 20 newer 1300 megawatt reactors, according to an analysis by France's nuclear regulator last week. They need repairs. According to the supervisor, 32 older systems are not affected, and that would mean some relaxation. It was feared that all reactors would have to be repaired. In the most recent heat wave, some reactors also had to be shut down because the water temperatures in the rivers that used to cool the nuclear power plants were just too high. The nuclear power plant operator EDF has repeatedly lowered its forecast for nuclear power production because of those problems. They now expect 280 to 300 billion kilowatt hours for 2022, compared to 360 billion last year. France has therefore changed from an electricity exporter to an importer. And since September 2021, Germany has been delivering more electricity to France every month than comes from there, according to data from transmission system operator ENSO-E. A new EPR reactor is under construction in Flamanville in the Normandy. It is scheduled to go online in 2023 after 11 years of construction delays and a cost explosion from the planned 3.3 billion to 12.7 billion euros. France's government still relies on nuclear power. They want to build 6 new nuclear power plants. They should be built by 2050. Paris is also investing money in the development of new small nuclear power plants. That's those Boris Johnson also was talking about recently. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.